So one more time, welcome everybody, SqueezeMobi Billionaires. I love being here with you to Module 7. Today we're going to be going over, I got a ton of slides here. We got a jam-packed session. We're going to be going over the telemarketing and the local webinar model, how you can take basically this concept of closing clients and scale it up. Basically putting your income on steroids and your client closing on steroids. But before we do that, let's go over the agenda real quick. Introduction, we're going to go over some fundamentals, some assumptions, how to hire a telemarketing team, where you should look, where you shouldn't look, our experiences, some difficulties we had, what was easier, what was harder. Then actually go through the local webinar model, a sample presentation that you can then leverage to create your own presentation. Go talk about the presentation analysis, how to put in the scarcity at the end, how to correctly close, and we're going to wrap it up with a Q&A. All right, so the first thing, introduction, fundamentals. I want to warn you guys, and just because a lot of people said, hey, no, I haven't built a site, I haven't done this, this is an advanced training session. This is compared to the other modules that we were doing. This one is an advanced one, okay? So don't get, I just want to kind of put this out there because don't get too excited before you got the fundamentals down. People always want to jump to advanced stuff. They always want to, the pie in the sky, and it's really easy kind of to get excited about an idea. I know this is Avi will tell you that this is sometimes, even I have a problem with this. I always get excited and then I don't always realize all the work that's behind an idea. And I want to say that because repeating the fundamentals, just going out there, doing walk-ins, doing a couple of the steps that we went over, doing those audits, one-on-one with clients where it's very effective, your closing ratio is going to be much higher, is going to have a huge effect over the long run. Andy Robbins talks about this, everyone gets excited by these advanced things, but if you just focus on perfecting the fundamentals, doing a couple of those steps every single day, you will see results. Why? Because you're going to grow a little bit every single day. Your processes are going to get ironed out more and more every single day. All right? And then when you look back and all these clients that you closed, for example, with the audit system, and you get a couple of these on recurring income, or you're getting recurring checks because you closed them on SMS campaigns, then you're going to see that result. But you're not going to necessarily see it tomorrow. So stop trying to sometimes make that jump from $0 to $10,000, $15,000 a month, and let's just work on getting a couple of those clients and slowly building that reputation, building that system over the long run. So the stuff I'm going to go over today is advanced, but I just want to kind of put that disclaimer out there. Assumption, before you start focusing on as a model we're going to describe, you already have at least 5 clients. I would say that you've already done work for 10, 15, but at least 5. This experience will allow you to train. When you start working with these telemarketers, if you can't necessarily close yourself, how are you going to try to teach someone else how to close? Now, can you do it with no experience? Yes, it is possible, but it is always easier to train someone else to close on your behalf if you have the experience. And you want to learn the ropes yourself. Otherwise, when you do the outsourcing, people are going to, I hate to say it, but they're going to screw you. All right? If you don't, they're gonna maybe charge you more. They're gonna act like they're doing all this work that they're not necessarily doing, and you want to have that foundation. So let's talk about hiring a telemarketing team. I want to get some feedback. Who's ever hired a telemarketing team or worked with telemarketers? Yes, no, maybe so. Okay. And I see Paul has. And if you have, has the campaign been effective? Jim, hey Jim, nice to see you here. Scott as well. All right. And have you done telemarketing when it comes to mobile or any type of local services? Okay, not yet. Okay, cool. Not mobile, just local services, says Jim. Consulting services for small business. Okay, all right, cool. So we do have some experienced people in the room, which I'm excited about. All right, you have a couple different options, and you have to really figure out how you want to structure it. Okay, you can have in-house employees. OnlineJobs.ph, bestjobs.ph. We like using OnlineJobs.ph. A lot of our team we've sourced from OnlineJobs.ph have had pretty good experiences. The thing about in-house employees, and if you don't have the experience, for example, if you're like Paul, then it's going to be much easier for you to build up a team, and you could probably do it quicker because you know what to pinpoint and how to effectively grow them. But you're going to have to train them, and so you kind of have to know how to do a little bit of telemarketing correctly. The great thing about the Philippines is every other person has experience doing telemarketing. But when you're outsourcing to the Philippines, it is low cost, and these people you could leverage that team if you don't necessarily have enough work when it comes to telemarketing to as well do other work. What about college students, summer jobs, things like that? This is really also good. You could leverage. You could also leverage college students. The cool thing about this, let's do a little bit of a comparison, okay? And I know we've got also Javar and Lester on backing me up here. So I want to do a little bit of a comparison of culturally, and when we're leveraging this, leveraging telemarketers in the Philippines, we have to remember it's also a different culture than American culture, than the culture in the U.S. And the thing, accents can be sometimes slightly a little bit of a problem, but I will tell you this, compared to India or other places, I've traveled almost the entire world. I have not encountered, maybe other than in Denmark, any culture that speaks English as well as the Philippines. But still, obviously, when you go to the U.S., you get a little bit of a different rhythm, and culturally as well. Americans are brought up to be kind of go-getters and can kind of push sometimes a little bit harder when it comes to telemarketing and getting the close, getting the deal, being a little bit more entrepreneurial in nature. So leveraging those college students that are local around your area, someone that might need a job, someone that might need to do something, someone that you could actually even supervise locally could be potentially a good option. The thing that you have to remember, though, is obviously you're going to be paying them a little bit more. And but So these are kind of in-house employees. I'm talking about, hey, you're going to be bringing on people. You're going to start off with maybe 1, 2 people. Then you're gonna find someone that's going to be able to manage the operation, and you're going to be building an actual team. You could actually, or you could leverage a telemarketing team. So what we did with one of our campaigns is we got in touch with a guy who's running a telemarketing team in the Philippines for many different clients. The good thing is this is low cost, so whether it's in-house employees or whether it's a team, the in-house employees are going to be a little bit less. All right, they're going to be approximately, and it really kind of depends on the person that you kind of get, and also the other types of skill levels and past experiences. So, from approximately 150 an hour all the way upwards to even $5 an hour. All right, and it really depends. Like I said, for the telemarketing team, we were paying around $3 an hour. So obviously they're going to have a markup because they got to be running an entire operation. The good thing is though that they're a little bit more experienced, right? So you're going to be more focused on actually structuring the campaign rather than you training someone up on how to do telemarketing effectively. And they're already trained, so they're better at setting appointments. It's easier to manage the operation. Now, I put in here not as effective as Western teams, and it really depends. It really depends on which kind of team you source. Some teams are extremely good, but in general, like I said, when you compare it culturally, that entrepreneurial, that go-getter attitude is a little bit more prevalent in the U.S. The thing that you got to remember, though, is you need to set it up from the beginning, and you need to measure, you need to have metrics in place. And I'm going to harp on this, all right? But you need to have metrics in place. You can't just, and I was saying this before, I don't want to curse, but you can't just take crap and throw it at the wall. It's not gonna stick. Just give them a couple $100 and say, hey, call. All right, it's not gonna work. You want to have the right metrics in place, whether it's how many calls, what are the results of the calls, how many appointments have been set, and really figure out. Without these metrics, you can't figure out how to optimize the campaign. And with the Western telemarketing teams, the thing I want to warn you about is, especially, and I know some people on here might have higher budgets, but if you don't necessarily have the higher budget, be careful, because it's going to cost you much more, and you could get ran into the ground basically if the campaign is not set up right, and you're going to be just bleeding money. All right, but if you set it up correctly, then a Western telemarketing team is also available. All right, so that was just kind of like an overview, and so let's talk about this. And sorry, actually, I made a mistake. Okay, so $3 an hour was for the lead generation part of the team, because that's much easier, right, to collect information about a business and just source that information. The actual telemarketers were $6 an hour for the telemarketing team in the Philippines, for the actual guys that were doing the calls. All right, but the good thing is the English is decent, and you have to work with them a little bit when it comes to effective scripts. But The one thing I was shocked at was when we were working with the guy, when we were working with the guy, Danny, he, in the beginning, there were a couple of hiccups when we were structuring the campaign, and he came back to us and he said, "Hey, guys, I don't want to waste your money. I cut the campaign. And I know we were originally supposed to do about, 2 guys, so 10 hours in total, but I cut it because there was just something that wasn't right. I got to re-examine the campaign and see how it goes." All right, so that's kind of a good thing where, and something I really appreciate is a lot of people in the Philippines, not necessarily everyone, but a lot of people in the Philippines are very honest, and when something's not working out regarding hours and things like that, I do have a lot of trust in that. So, what was I want to come out with a little bit of a warning, all right? And this is called the SqueezeMobi pipe dream. And basically, when we went in to a couple things, a couple of these campaigns, and I covered this a tiny bit in the beginning, it's like, oh, these guys, this is going to be the holy grail. These guys are going to be closing $500, $1,000 mobile site deals right on the call. Tomorrow we're going to wake up and they're going to have closed $100,000 mobile site deals, and we're going to have $100,000 in our bank account as soon as we wake up. All right, or even recurring deals. We were doing this as well regarding our directory. Now we got a little bit of a rude awakening after that, and a couple of the lessons learned are you want to know your product well, and you want as well your telemarketers to know the product well, because it's going to allow them to close better. And it makes sense. I mean, if you're going to be talking about something you know nothing about, how the hell are you supposed to sell something you know nothing about? All right? And another thing is it also takes a few times to warm up a lead to close them. So it's not like, hey, you call someone and you say, all right, I got this thing, mobile site, it's going to change your business. Boom, send me the money right now. Mobile app, it's something crazy for your business. Boom. All right, that's not necessarily how it works, especially with some of these packages. It takes a couple of times before someone makes that decision, and you got to kind of warm them up a little bit as well. Now, when it comes down to something that costs $5, right? That's not that big of a deal. But when you're talking about deals that are $500, $1,000, $1,500, a bigger package, it's a little more difficult. All right, so the other thing, the easier the task, the more likely it will be done. What does that mean? It's much easier to set an appointment than it is to make a sale. Same thing for the telemarketing team. If you want them to do something big, it's a little bit harder. And also to get opt-ins, and that's what kind of led us to the local webinar model, where we could take the ball into our court and drive these people out to a local webinar. And so how did we have this set up? And I'm gonna run you through this so you can kind of understand how this works. The first thing is have the telemarketing use an easier script to sign them up for a webinar. And this script is actually pretty long, but I'll show it to you anyways. This is the script that a lot of you maybe have gotten in on, and it's our It's a real estate script, okay? And the way, of course, no one reads the script from beginning to end. That's not how the script works. But in the beginning, I'm just going to go through it and analyze it a little bit, is something that captures your attention. And when we were talking with Jason Fladlin, this is actually something that we were discussing, and we got this a little bit from him as well. Is, hey, I'm from SqueezeMobi. This is Enrique from SqueezeMobi, and yep, this is a cold call. I bet you get 1 million of these, but put your seatbelt fast in it right now, because I'm going to actually tell you something today and sell you something that's actually free. You're not going to pay anything for it. And it's going to actually help your business get more customers while reducing your advertising costs. Now let me ask you, should I continue? Or I can hang up right now if you want me to. All right, so going in with a little bit of a cocky intro, and this changes it a little bit, right? Because most people are most people go in and they're like, "Hello, this is Enrique Becco from SqueezeMobi. Have you heard about mobile marketing and what it can do for your business?" And even telemarketers, and it really depends. Two things. It has to be congruent with your personality. So, if I'm just like a chill guy and I'm just laid back and I'm like, hey, this is a cold call and I bet you get 1 million of these. Now fasten your seatbelt, man. It has to be congruent with your personality. So you can excite yourself to some level, but it does have to be. And you could use these yourselves. I kind of actually recommend that when you do cold calls, before you try to get in touch with the telemarketing team, do some cold calls yourself and just test them out. And what works for one person might not work for another person. All right? And the thing is, the gatekeeper is mostly going to redirect you. But sometimes, the business owner is there. Especially, it really depends also on the niche. And that's why we were talking a little bit about realtors today, is a lot of times with realtors, you can get straight through to the realtor, which is much harder with the restaurant, right? You call a restaurant, you're probably not going to get, you just don't know who you're going to get. And so, going into a little bit about the webinar, but the cool thing is right here, having actually something open that you can sell the business owner a couple sentences on why this webinar is really freaking cool, but then sign them up directly on there. So we use this plugin. You don't have to use this plugin. You can just create a regular page and go to webinar. Who on here has go to webinar? Anyone? By the way, this is an old webinar, so don't try to register for it because TR does. All right. Anyone else? Or no? Give me a no. Frank? All right. Who's actually done a webinar? Who's done a webinar? TR? Frank? Okay. Okay. Cool. So some people actually have. Paul, yeah. All right. I'm glad to see some veterans with webinars. I love webinars. I don't know how many I've done it by this point, but there's this plugin from, I think it's WP Webinar Pro from Jason Fladlin. I should get an affiliate link for this and shoot everyone the affiliate link because we recommend it so many times and we haven't gotten any commissions for it. But who cares? Look it up on Google. it's cool but you first have to have GoToWebinar. The cool thing is if I then put my information in here, let's say Enrique Becco, Enrique at SqueezeMobi, right? I'm going to get opted in to not only an Aweber or GetResponse email list, but as well to the GoToWebinar list. Okay? And that's pretty cool because who on here wants to enter their first name and last name and email address twice? No one. It's a waste of time. So that way you can follow up regarding the webinar with this business owner, but as well you can follow up on Aweber. So let's say I click register now. I'm going to get and you should probably see it right here. It's going to pop up soon, hopefully. I don't know. Wait, actually it might not because this webinar is passed, so it probably doesn't even exist anymore. But otherwise I would get a notification from GoToWebinar. And as well, then in Aweber, I have this email that basically it's very similar to the script, but it tells them a little bit about the webinar and what we're going to be covering. For that session, it was mobile landing pages with video virtual tours, SMS lists, and customer conversions. So you get a little bit of an agenda. And what I like to do is I always like to give them some type of like bonus, because conversions are just better if you can promise them something for free. And plus this Google Mobile Playbook, and I could put that in the chat. I think everyone should have that by now. But this Google Mobile Playbook, what's cool about it is that it basically kind of builds that case for you, all right? And so you don't, like, Google basically explains the mobile revolution, results different types of businesses, whether small or big, have been getting. And if a business owner actually kind of lists through that and reads it or even skims it, it's really powerful. So that's why I like to give that out every time to local business owners, and especially if I could print it out, which I usually don't do because I don't really do in-person stuff since I'm always traveling. I'm in Germany right now. Then I'll send it, whether it's in like a follow-up email or in this autoresponder, Aweber autoresponder. All right, so that's just kind of how that process works, and I wanted to explain that to you. But it doesn't have to be so complicated. You don't need that plugin. You can just have basically a regular GoToWebinar page. But the powerful part is having the person who's doing the cold call literally take that person's information and sign them up directly at that time. Okay? So when this is happening, basically, local business here, bam, email address. Now, what do you want to watch out for? You want to watch out for sometimes if you get too many signups from the same IP address, it could be a problem. All right, so just a little bit of a warning regarding that. But otherwise, it's a good method. Why? Because if you send the business owner follow-up information, if you send anyone follow-up information, are they going to necessarily register? No, your conversions are going to get low. They're going to become low. The best way is if you do all the hard work for them, and then they get that email directly to their inbox. They can look at it. They can look at that Google Mobile Playbook, and they're starting to get now emails as well from GoToWebinar about the webinar that they have signed up for. So that's pretty powerful, and kind of some cool stuff that I wanted to go over. And I have kind of this Aweber script here that we use as well. And the other thing is then also an email follow-up. So sometimes you don't want to sign them up for that webinar or any type of list without their permission. Don't do that. That's bad. It's just don't do that. But so you also want to have a email follow-up. Why is this email follow-up important? Because sometimes, let's say the gatekeeper is going to say, yeah, Frank, he's not available. Okay, well, cold caller says, okay, well, do you think I could have his email address just to follow up with him? All right. And sometimes the gatekeeper does give it to you. So you want to have this email follow-up where you could send that to Frank and have that link to that webinar as well that opts them into the Aweber get response list and the GoToWebinar, the actual webinar. That's another pretty kind of powerful thing, and the cold caller should have that at their disposal so that immediately if they give them the email, they can email them right away. All right? And so that's kind of another big thing that you want to have. And the good thing is you could leverage all parts of this. Meaning, what do I mean by that? I mean that if you have a script, you could use the wording for the email follow-up. I just used a lot of the similar wording, and that's okay. That's not too bad. But you also want to hit them from multiple angles, like I said. So the cold caller might follow up the next day and the day after if they didn't get through necessarily through the gatekeeper. Now that lead has become a warm lead. Why? Because, oh, you called yesterday. Oh, and now I just want to follow up again because I sent Frank an email yesterday as well, and just wanted to kind of follow up on everything and see if I can now talk to him personally. There's also for, I think, GoToWebinar, Aweber, I think there are 30-day free trials. Search on Google if that's something that you'll want to do. And Norman says, what happens if a lot of agents come from the same broker? Won't that be the same IP address? Yeah, and that's what I mentioned. Is that something that you want to be careful with is regarding the IP addresses, okay? Because otherwise, especially for things like Aweber, GetResponse, you can't just manually, like I can't just steal some type of, I don't know, database and just manually start entering all of these email addresses because it's going to come from the same IP address. But there's ways kind of to ways around that I'm not going to necessarily cover today. All right. What about local business psychology 101? Make sure when you go into this webinar presentation, how do you want to structure it? What do you want to do? Do you want to tell them about all the things, all the money, all the possibilities that they can make? Yeah, of course. But you also always want to hit the pain points. Why is that? What's more effective? Pain or gain? TR says pain. Dr. Jory says gain. Pain. Well, everyone's wrong. The most effective is if you can combine the two. That's the most effective, right? Hit the right pain points, but also show them how they can gain. But if they don't act on the opportunity to gain, how it's going to be as well very, very painful for them. So that's why one strategy, and you could craft your local webinar presentation any way you want, but going in, hey, what are some of the disastrous mistakes you're committing with your marketing in your business that if you don't stop doing, your business is most likely going to go bankrupt within the next 3 years. But on the other hand, if you leverage them correctly, you're going to be able to double, maybe triple the amount of revenue that you're bringing in within the next 12 months. All right? And so you're going to drive them to this webinar via the telemarketer, or you could do the cold calls yourself. I recommend that you actually do some of the cold calls yourself. And then deliver the content about 5 mistakes that they're doing. All right? Now, how much do local business owners know about marketing? How much? On a scale of 1 to 10? Or on a scale of 0 to 10? TR says 0. Barry says little, 2, 3. They know crap. They don't know anything. And for that reason, there's 2 things. Number 1, anything that you tell them, you're going to wow them. Number 2, be careful. Some of the things that we consider as common knowledge that we take for granted, if you start talking to them about these things, they're going to get confused. So you want to deliver good content in that webinar presentation, but just be careful that you don't perplex them and confuse their little teeny brains that don't know anything about marketing. All right, and then how do you close that up? You're gonna sell them a starter package and transition them into the audit as the first step. So the other thing you want to incorporate scarcity. Scarcity is very important. And the thing is, you want to also use real scarcity. One thing that I've noticed and that I've learned and you learn every day, and this is very easy to say, and sometimes you still are a little bit lenient on this. Do not work with bad clients. Don't do it. It's going to come back and bite you. Just don't do it. And you know when you have that feeling that client is not going to be a good client. That client is going to cause you more trouble than they're worth. And you know it, but you're going to take them on anyways, right? You know you're going to do it because you're like, I'm going to make it work. And then you don't. And I'm guilty of this too. And I'm guilty at times of this. But just don't do it. And because we have kind of taken on over the past couple of months, I could remember a few clients that we decided to structure something especially for them and said, hey, should we do it? Should we not? And I was kind of a little bit hesitant, and I shouldn't have done it, but I did it anyways. Now, Norman asks, what's my definition of a bad client? A bad client is one that is just going to keep on bothering you about every little thing. They're trying to kind of kill you on price. They don't value what you're really doing, and you just know by the initial conversation that they're going to be a problematic client. A good client is one you can partner with that you're going to be able to get results for, and they're going to actually value your results. And they're not going to ask those stupid questions that don't have an effect on their business, on the results anyways. Does that make sense? Yeah? And so one way to incorporate scarcity is saying, hey, I only partner with a few clients. And what is the reason for that? The reason for that is I refuse to take on bad clients, and I'm only going to partner with you if I know I'm going to be able to deliver an ROI of 300, 400%, because I want you to be very, very happy with me, and I value my life way too much to take on terrible clients. So I just want to kind of put this out there that I only take on few clients, and this is on a first come, first serve basis. I'm doing this webinar because I do have a little bit of a bandwidth, and just throw in there, and this is up to you, depending on how your bandwidth is. But right now I can only take on an additional 2 clients. You want to put that scarcity on there, because that way the ball comes back into your court. Now you're not pleading them that, oh, hey, I need your money, I need your money, I need your money. No, it's completely different. All right? If they want to work with you, if they want to partner with you, keyword, partner with you, they got to qualify themselves, because you're the expert. You know you can deliver results for them, and you're only going to work with someone that you know you're going to be able to deliver results for, and that's going to pay you as well fairly for that. All right? Now, does that make sense? How are you going to transition? You basically offer a free consultation, but it's not really free. It's not really free, and we're going to go into this, how you're going to get a deposit, and you're going to apply that deposit later on. But you want to make sure that you build up the value for this consultation. And this is exactly, remember when we went over the audit system? Yeah? If you remember when we went over the audit system, exact same methodology. But you're going to be doing this with the local webinar model right now. All right? So you're going to be transitioning them into one-on-one audits. And if you want, you could even skip that step and just transition straight into closing. But for now, I recommend transitioning into audits. And towards the end, when you close, you're going to build the value of this audit, and then get them to fill out some type of application using gravity forms. And when they submit that, they also need to make and you could choose to make this non-refundable, refundable. In the beginning, I recommend you do refundable, $99 down payment. They can use that towards their package later on if they decide to go with you. This filters out for serious and clients who just aren't serious. And on the other hand, you as well, if you want to do non-refundable, if you're you're very confident in what you're offering, you know that it's going to succeed, then make it non-refundable. This definitely filters out for the serious clients and the ones that are not serious. And then, you take them on through the deeper sales funnel in the exact same manner. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that. So how do you want to do this? How are you going to craft your webinar presentation? You want to start by niche-specific statistics in the beginning. And I'm going to run through this like sample webinar presentation that you could use as well, and just follow along so that you can use it to craft your own. And the title of it is 5 Disastrous Marketing Mistakes Restaurants Make Driving New Customers to your restaurant. All right? So what you want to talk about is, in the beginning, you want to hook them. 5 disastrous marketing. I'm going to explain to you today the 5 disastrous marketing mistakes restaurants make, and these restaurants don't even realize it, but a lot of them are going to go broke and bust. Their restaurants are going to get less and less customers if they don't fix them. And I hate to break it to you, but unfortunately, you are probably one of those restaurants. Then I'm going to show you how to take what you learn to actually drive new customers and make them loyal customers that are going to be repeat customers, just using simple technology like SMS campaigns, text messaging campaigns. Don't say SMS, say text messaging, because SMS people get lost. They have no idea what you're talking about. All right, and you jump right into the statistics. These are some statistics. You can get hundreds of these on the internet about building the case. You want to build the case. These restaurant owners, we went over this. How much do they know about marketing? Oftentimes nothing. They know like zero. And that basically means that you're going to have to build the case for mobile. And and this is a big one, right? 37% of people will use a mobile device for restaurant research. And that's big because a lot of these business owners that are going to come and attend this local webinar presentation, they don't have a mobile optimized site. So make sure they understand that they're missing out on a ton of traffic, number one. Number two, the traffic they're missing out on is actually ready to take action. And they're not taking action. They're then going to see their competitor because this restaurant does not have a mobile optimized site. These business owners don't understand, what is this mobile crap? Yeah, my teenage son, he's got a mobile phone to talk with his friends, but I don't need any of that. No. This is actually real stuff, and this actually you're going to be driving real results for these businesses. All right. So, and do people actually research restaurants? The one thing, how are you going to generate these leads? How is this telemarketing team, whether it's you, whether it's your VA, whether it's someone on your team, how are you generating these leads? Now, let me tell you, if you're generating these leads, if you generate all these restaurants or whatever, realtors or whatever, if you generate it from Yellow Pages, if you generate them from Groupon, this is something big. This is something very important that you want to go over at this webinar presentation, if there's a commonality. Why? Because this is a mistake. For example, they're using the Yellow Pages. And we went over this in the audit system, so I'm not going to go in depth into this, but pretty much rehash everything I went over in that module to these business owners. Talking about how print is dead unless you're targeting 70 to 80-year-old age group. Yellow Pages, do not track the leads. Ads are extremely expensive. New marketing methods drive much more traffic. And then Groupon as well. And go over those reasons that I went over, how Groupon is expensive. Do the math as well. So on this local webinar presentation, what you're going to want to show them is the actual math of how much they're potentially losing with Groupon. And because these business owners, do you think a business owner that's on Groupon, they did the math of how much these leads are going to cost them? Yes or no? Or do you think they were just excited that they could get on Groupon? Let's see. Okay. A lot of them didn't do the research. And that's big. A lot of them didn't do the research, and it's huge. So the second thing is Groupon takes another 50%. So a lot of these businesses, when you see they're only getting about 25% of the original price. That means they're losing 75%. These leads, let's say there's like a massage that's originally $100. Now the business is only getting $25 for it. That means they're losing $75. Each lead is costing them $75. And tell me, if their profit margins are that high that they can afford those, I mean, that's ridiculous. Now, up on top of that, price cuts dilute the brand. They upset different types of customers. Groupon attracts the wrong type of customers. What type of customers are these? They're the cheapskates. They're the worst types of customers. They're the customers not that are going to go back into that business. They're the customers that are going to look for another cool Groupon deal when they get home. Plus, Groupon doesn't pay immediately. It pays on a delayed schedule. Groupon has caused a lot of businesses to go bankrupt. Look up stories. And I would go over this more in depth, but I already went over this on, I think it was in Module 5, if I'm correct. So I just want you to, if you want an in-depth review of Groupon and lead gen strategies, go back to Module 5. All right? And influx of customers can decrease customer service because there's just so many customers as well. Groupon exposure is short-lived. Groupon keeps all the leads. And in the end, does Groupon really give a damn about your business, about that local business? No, they don't. They have too many other businesses to deal with. They're a giant, and they don't care. Now, these businesses don't realize that. So you want to cover this in about 15 minutes and really build the case for how Groupon, how they're messing up by being on Groupon if you generated all these leads via Groupon. Okay? And then you want to go into the 5 mistakes that the businesses make. First thing, I'll cover this a little bit more in depth. And you feel free to steal these from me as well if you want. I'll give you permission. No sales funnel. What do I mean by that? Who knows what I mean when I say sales funnel? TR, the star of tonight. Not OTOs, but in a sense. Yeah. All right. When they offer someone, let's say it's that massage or whatever it could be. Let's say it's a dentist, even a dentist, right? Someone goes for a checkup. But taking that customer and giving them, whether it's braces, whether it's whitening their teeth, whether it's fixing up these little things, but really having that marketing strategy in place so that they can take that customer, that original customer that pays maybe like $20, and taking them through a sales funnel where they close that customer then on a $100 deal, $200 deal, $500 deal, $1,000 deal. They have no monetization plan. And this is a terrible mistake because most of these businesses, they don't understand marketing, and they do kind of like pump and dump. And they just want to get some money out of this customer, and then they forget about the customer completely. And it starts with the initial purchase. For example, even with the restaurant, you want to turn that customer into a weekly customer. Drive them back into that business, because this restaurant is missing out literally on 30 to 60% of profits by not building out a simple sales funnel, by not taking a simple text message campaign that you guys all know now how to set up. Those are so simple to set up, especially that you have access to the platform, and using text messages on a weekly basis with simple discounts. You can put a mobile coupon in there if you want to drive that customer back into that business. They're literally missing out. And keyword, guys, missing out, once again, hits that pain point. Not that they can make more money if they had a text message campaign, but they're missing out on money. And number two, let's continue with this. They're not building a list. What business do you know? Tell me. What business do you know that builds a list? But has an email list? Has a SMS list? I know one. SqueezeMobi. we have a list, and we have you on our email list, at least. Maybe not our SMS list, but at least on our email list. And but out of these businesses, who knows a restaurant that has an email list and an SMS list? Give me a yes or no. All right, so some people say yes, some people say no. Most people are saying no. Now, who receives text messages from a restaurant, from your favorite restaurant? Who receives text messages about special offers? No. I do not see one single yes. Now, would you be excited, Carol said actually, me. Would you be excited if that favorite restaurant of yours offered you some, on Tuesday, they said, hey, we got this special, you're going to get a free glass of wine, I don't know, a free appetizer, a really good, we got this new hot appetizer that's these, I don't know, mushrooms and scallions, something really tasty and appetizing, and it's from your favorite restaurant. Would that make you think about going there? Absolutely. Someone just said, absolutely, I love deals. Yes, I would tell everyone, and you'd probably even share it with other people. And it just boggles my mind. It just really kills me that these restaurants are, now they're not the highest paying client, but they're one of the easiest to build the case for, just with these simple SMS campaigns. All right. And the thing is, these restaurants are not building a list. And you ask these business owners live on this webinar, ask them, do you have the information, phone number, or email of any of your customers? And you tell them, if they don't, you're effing up. Right there, because they're going to tell you no, 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 no. Because not building an email list, if you're not building it, you're losing out on customers. And if you are, you're going to make your business successful because you're going to drive these people and take them through your sales funnel. And an SMS list is highly, highly recommended. Why? Because each and every single opt-in is valued at $5 or more. Money you are losing out every single month for not building that. Number 3, incentivizing customers. How do you drive customers back into your store? Do you offer coupons for people coming back into your restaurant? Ask them. You want to engage these business owners on this webinar. You want to engage them and then drive them back. Ask them, are they using anything to try? And most of these will say no. And it's sad. It's really sad. Because including a simple incentive such as low-cost drink, how much does a drink cost for you? Ask those business owners live on that webinar, can have a massive impact on conversions. Because these drinks, right, like a Coke, it's going to cost them like 5-10 cents. Costs nothing, costs peanuts. Yet people appreciate these types of gestures, especially if they know that restaurant has good food. Maybe it's around lunchtime, they're hungry anyways, and they're going to react. Not everyone is, but a lot of people are. And without incentives, businesses lose potential revenue and create inaction in customers. And capturing these customers online, how do you drive new and repeat customers to your restaurant? Via online means. Ask them, and they're going to say, we don't. Because if, and this is when you hit them with the mobile optimized site, you potentially show them an emulator. You show them, especially if you take one of these clients and you ask them, hey, shoot me a URL of your website, and you show the people that are live on the webinar. You probably don't want to have that big of a showing compared to, for example, like we build communities and we have hundreds of people on our webinars. For these local webinars, it's going to be probably a smaller group. So you can make it much more personal. You say, hey, give me a URL of your website, and pop up one of your emulators, whether it's Springbox, if you use Springbox, Mobilizer, or any type of emulator, and you show them, hey, look how terrible your website is. And then if you have a good example or an example of one of our templates, then you show them that as well live on that webinar. And you say, hey, what's the problem? You're missing out on 37% of people who do restaurant research online. What's the bigger problem? Not only is this 30% doing restaurant research online, 70% of people that do a local search act within 1 hour. This means you're missing out on the most freaking important traffic, and this is causing you to lose out on revenues. And having a mobile optimized site to make the user experience flawless and exceptional is one of the easiest ways to get more people into your restaurant again and again. And the last thing, the fifth mistake that we cover, not having a complete online strategy. What is your online marketing strategy? And they're going to say nothing. And coming in with a mobile marketing strategy, so you're basically going to tie it up right here, right? You left a lot of loose ends, so you want to tie it up. Tell them, hey, mobile optimized strategy, then text message marketing with in-business brochures and table tents that get people opted into that text messaging list and driving them back into that store, okay? So tying those loose ends up. All right. Now, Avi, maybe you want to respond to Barry real quick if you can. All right. So wrapping it up, that's when you deliver the content portion of your presentation, and you want to wrap it up with the close. And you want to now take these people that are on your local webinar and transition them into that bonus strategy consultation session. So the normal price for the analysis and creation of and you're going to tell them, hey, normally we charge here at SqueezeMobi, we charge $500 for our consultation sessions where we go over your entire marketing model and really pinpoint your strengths and your weaknesses. We do an extensive analysis, but for you, for a bonus as for being on this webinar live, we're going to do a 30-minute audit and analysis of your fundamental web design, your social media platform, and your mobile marketing platform, and your social media campaigns, and really pinpoint, hey, how are we going to take for you, your customers, and not only drive new customers that are already maybe searching for your restaurant, that are searching for restaurants in general, but also take your customers and put them through your extended sales funnel and drive them back into your restaurant over and over and over again. And we usually, like I said, we usually charge $500 because these are pretty extensive, and we actually craft your marketing plan and what you need to do, what you need to implement in order to take your marketing to the next level, which is very valuable. But what we're offering is right now is a special offer and premium pricing just for you guys of just a $99 refundable deposit if we don't end up working together. And this is whether it's from your side or from our side as well, because like I said, if you're we're only going to take on 3 clients. So if unfortunately you sign up a little late, we just won't have the bandwidth, and I'm not going to take you on as a client if I can't give you the ROI, if I can't service you, if I'm going to be overextended. Plus, only if we're a fit for each other. If I don't think I can deliver the results for you, I'm not going to take you on as a client. I've learned the hard way over the years that if the chemistry is not there, we just can't work together. But otherwise, you still get your mobile marketing, your audit results, and I'm going to leave that with you. I'm going to actually send that presentation to you at the end of our consultation and strategy session, and you can have you could do whatever you want with it. You can implement it. You can even have your web guy implement it. So it's completely risk-free, but I want to just make sure that you're serious. Now, on the other hand, if we're right for each other, then what's gonna happen is you can actually apply that $99 for the package that we agree on to take your business to the next level. So you get this bonus consultation, and the $99 deposit is completely refundable. All right, and then throw in a guarantee. The guarantee is important because you're basically, how are you doing this? When you hit that $500 price point, you're stacking the value. And the value really is there. You just need to make sure you communicate it correctly. You drop it down to a refundable deposit. There's no risk, and you guarantee, and you end it off with a guarantee that you personally guarantee that this audit is going to be. And I always like to kind of leave it off on a little bit of a cocky note. And so I say, hey, by the way, if you're thinking twice about this, I guarantee you, I'm sure you already learned a ton today, but I guarantee you that this audit is going to be the best 30 minutes that you have invested in your business, period. Even if we don't work together, it's going to be a huge investment for you, and you're going to learn a lot. And if you actually do what we outline, you're going to have some amazing results. And have that URL. What you want to have the URL is a URL to an application form. On Gravity Forms, let me just bring this up because I have a couple things here. For example, if you want to do contact form 7, or as well, if you want to do right here Gravity Forms, you could use whatever, and then you can actually get snap appointments so that people can actually schedule appointments with you on that webinar. They could basically go through that whole process. So what do you want them to do, right? You want them to fill out some type of application form. In that application form, you want to have a couple questions. One of the questions, how much do you have to invest in your business and in your marketing? What's your budget? A question along those lines. What happens if they say 0? If they have a budget of 0? Just want to ask. What happens if they say they have a budget of 0 to invest in their marketing? Jamie said next. Or what happens if one of the other questions, are you the decision maker? Are you the decision maker? That's a huge one. And then number 3, hey, ask them about their goals, so that you can know, hey, how are we going to structure this? How are you going to structure that audit? So Gravity Forms, number 1, they submit their application. Next thing, they're able to make that payment right away, probably through PayPal. You can set up through PayPal, authorize.net as well. And number 3, They can then, if you want to use Snap appointments, they can schedule their appointment as well, so everything is already set up and automated. Or you could do it by email. Depends, how automated you want to make it. If it's the first time around, don't do any of these steps if it's the first time around. If it's gonna prevent you from taking action. Let's talk about stacking the value. We talked a little bit about it. You're upping it to $500, then you're slashing it. So they feel like they're getting a deal, but they understand the value, which is huge. Number 2, closing. So verbally discuss that price point, put the $500 price out there, talk about it for a minute, and then slash the price. Okay? And when you give them money back guarantee, there's no risk. And no one does this. You're blowing them away. There is no reason. If you do that correctly, you have a value-adding presentation. There is literally no reason why they should not sign up with you. Scarcity, like we discussed, talk about not taking on every single client. And also talk about, hey, the other thing is I'm targeting your area, and there's a couple people from your area. And the thing is, I usually do exclusivity. So if your competitor comes to me and says, hey, I want you to work with me, we're going to be, I want to be your client, but I don't want you to work with Joe Schmo's restaurant right next to me, because then that kind of reduces the effectiveness of my marketing, I'm going to say yes. So this is on a first come, first serve basis, and I understand if you're maybe not ready to take me on, but if you don't, your competitor, the restaurant next door might take me on. And when you say this, what is one of the biggest things? What is one of the biggest things? What is one of those points that you just freaking hit that drives people crazy? They want something that their neighbor can't get. They want to be the only one. And if they miss out, it's going to drive them mad. So make sure to hit that psychological trigger as well. And I was talking about throwing URL to an application form from Gravity Forms Contact 7. Thank you page integrated with PayPal or Authorize.net, either or. Authorize.net you could do as well. It's going to probably take you a little bit longer to set up. But if you get them on the credit card, that's also good sometimes. And also integrated with another AWeber Get Response list, because you want to start collecting these email addresses of these business owners. Not just in like your Excel file, but an actual AWeber Get Response list, because that's where you're going to be, that type of campaign you're going to be building for them. You want to build it yourself, because once you build it, then, for example, if you come out with, if you're expanding from mobile to social media, or you start offering SEO services, you can then follow up to all your business owners via an AWeber, just a broadcast message. Using Snap appointments, and then walk them through all of this live on the call, and how to do this. Why? You want to walk them through it, because if you don't walk them through it, they're not going to convert. And that's a problem. They're not going to convert. They're just going to drop off. They're going to fall off, and they're going to be too confused. They might not be technically oriented, so you want to actually show them, hey, here's the Gravity Forum. This is what you do. This is what you fill out. This is where you press enter, and then you go to this next screen. This is where you make your payment, and then this is where you schedule your appointment. All right? Because otherwise it's a little bit difficult. So with that, we're wrapping up part 1